So today we are joined by representatives from some of our leading companies in the BPO industry. So we now have our panelists here. Yep. So I think we could start. Let's start with Paolo. Paolo's from Optum. If you could please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Optum. Oh, sorry, Paolo. I think not hearing you.
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry.
There.
Can
Yeah,
you
it's
hear me now?
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
clearer.
All right. So again, just to introduce myself, my name is Paulo Bayangos, and I'm the current campus relations officer for Optum Global Solutions. To give you a brief background of what Optum is, formerly we're known as United Health Group, and since 2017, we're going by the name of Optum Global Solutions. So what we do is we provide, where we are a healthcare provider company. So if you guys are familiar with MaxiCare, Medicard, so usually we have this for our health insurance. So let's say, for example, you would be involved in an accident or you would be sick. Instead of you paying for the whole hospital bill, some of it would be shouldered by your health insurance. So just
Mhm.
like them, we provide health insurance to our members, but most of our members are located outside of the country. Okay, so for example, in the US, some parts of South America, in Europe, and in India. Okay, here in the Philippines, we are functioning as a CPO or clinical process outsourcing. Most of the process that we do would be more on the clinical side of the business, so more on credentials, information, and innovation with anything related to healthcare. Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Paolo. Really, really helpful to know that. Let's uh, now hear from TeleTech. We have Kay joining us today. Hi, Kay. Uh,
Hi there.
yeah, could you introduce yourself as well and tell a little about TeleTech?
Sure. So, my name is Kay. I'm one of the supervisors for talent acquisition, and I've been with TeleTech for 7 years, going on 8 now.
Wow.
Um, TeleTech is actually a pretty big company. We started out 30 years ago. We're running 40. And in the Philippines, we have multiple locations in Luzon and in the Visayas. I'm actually from Dumaguete. And we're a BPO that prides itself on elevating human experiences because, it's not just a business transaction or a contract on paper for us. So we like forging strong relationships, partnerships with our stakeholders, from our applicants to our employees to our clients. And we have actually multiple clients from telecommunications to meal delivery services to healthcare. And all of these clients we cater to, and we want to make sure that we give great experiences, not just to our clients, though, to our employees and, again, to our applicants. And I think you can see that in a lot of the action plans we've implemented over the years in response to a lot of things like, for example, the pandemic, where we not only ensured business continuity, but more importantly, we made sure that the health, safety, and the comfort of everybody involved was upheld and maintained. And that's something that we really pride ourselves in, and we're very much known for in the industry.
Nice. Thanks, Kay. And thanks, Paolo and Kay, for the intro. Now, let's jump to the fun part of this Q&A session. We have some questions actually for both of you. These were sent in advance by some of the students and grads that are interested in joining the industry or the BPO industry. But for any attendees right now, today, if you have any questions, feel free to add them on the chat function or the Q&A function on this booth. If we still have time later, we'll try to answer them. But if not, feel free to jump into the virtual booths after the session. Optum and Teletech also have their own booths, so you could actually ask them directly if you have any further questions. Okay, so let's start with you, Paolo. The first question here is, What is the most important piece of advice you'd give to students aspiring to work for an organization within this sector?
Yeah, well, being within talent acquisition for a long time now, one of the advice that I can give out to the aspiring applicants for whatever position that they would be having, or what positions we would be offering to them, is that make sure that you guys are committed to the role itself. Okay, so if it's going to be the position for, let's say, example, customer service, if it's really something that you wanted to try out, okay, make sure that you would be committed to whatever will be coming to you. Okay, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to be easy. That's for sure. Okay, that's for sure. I think there's no job that's going to be easy. And if you are going to be committed to this job, eventually it will be easier for you. Okay, then so as the saying goes that if you love what you do, you won't be working anymore within your life, and that's true actually. Okay,
Mhm.
that's one of the advice that I can give out to you guys.
Thanks, Paolo. Makes sense, no? Commitment and then also loving your job. How about you, Kay? What would be your advice for those aspiring to work in this sector?
Mm, Actually, I do agree with Paolo, definitely. That's something that I've noticed. Aside from that, I think people need to realize that working in the BPO customer service industry, you need to remember that you're building connections with people, your customers, your clients, and your colleagues. So you really need to make sure that you're creating those positive experiences. And so you get to do that by making sure that you lead every day and every situation by asking, what can you do to make the situation better? Right. So you ask that question and you adapt to get to that solution. This would definitely help you to hold yourself accountable and in control, not just for the work that you do, but I think also for your own growth. You know, you remember that you're building connections here, right? But you're not just doing that with other people, you're
Mhm.
doing that with yourself too. Because when we hire people, they're not just hired to be agents. You know, they're hired as our next generation of trainers, supervisors, and other key talent. And in our company, we definitely help our employees build that connection from their current self to who and where they want to be in that future.
Okay, that's very well. Thank you. Thank you for that. Connection really is important in this industry. I've been to this industry before. I've been part of the BPO industry, and I can testify of that. It's really true. Um, the next question for shall we jump on the next one? I think there's
Sure.
no comments here. Okay. So the next question here is what is your organization looking for in an application? What do students need to show to progress to the next round? I think we could start with Paolo again.
All right. So, since we are within the BPO space, so aside from being language proficient, okay, Optum is very inclined when it comes to healthcare. So, one of the things that we are looking for within an applicant is that he or she is passionate when it comes to helping people. Okay. One of the phrase within our mission states that we are helping people live healthier lives. So we have to embody that. If ever that you would be hired within Optum, you are going to embody the mission itself as you're going to be the one who's going to deliver it. Okay, we are going to help everyone, especially right now. We're within the pandemic situation,
Mhm.
so helping out others, it could mean a better life for them, or even worse than what they're experiencing right now. Okay, so even though if it's just as simple as giving out information or connecting them to the providers, so these are the hospitals, the doctors that we work with. So
Mhm.
even that simple can be a lot different when it comes to the impact within their lives.
Yeah, it may sound simple, right, Paolo? But I think that gives an impact, right? Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you so
it
much.
does give an impact.
Mhm. Thank you, Paolo. Kay, how about you? What does your organization looking for in an application?
Okay. Well, I definitely agree with Paolo when it comes to healthcare, because that's actually what I specialize in. But TeleTech, as a whole, we have multiple accounts. So we're not necessarily just looking for, your healthcare background or anything like that, because we have a lot of different things that you can fit into. What I think we look for more is we want everybody in our community to live life passionately, really, not just in the work that they do, but also in other aspects of their life. So when you go into an interview, you definitely need to be prepared for questions about the position and how much you know about it. But you need to be prepared as well for questions about yourself, because that's what I'm going to be asking you. Personally, I like seeing how well applicants have rolled with life's punches, right? I'm interested in those experiences because I want to see how you've maybe stumbled or fallen. But what I want to see more is how you were able to get back on your feet and ready to go. I'm invested in those success stories because we want to continue that here in Teletech. So if you bring that kind of energy, commitment, and a no quit attitude, you're definitely what we're looking for. And I suppose what's equally important, tying it back to what I said earlier, we are definitely looking for people who want to be of service, right? Because that is what we are at the core when we're a BPO. We're helping people out, customers, clients, colleagues, and even the community at large.
Wow, okay. Very compact. Thank you for your answer. I like the when you said um it's sorry, I got lost actually. Yeah, but then it's really wonderful for those aspiring for teletech. The service is one of the keys there. That's the word, service. It's although it's a job, you're helping people, you're communicating with people, and it's no joke. And also your experiences really matter. So all for those interested for Telec and Optum, gather up all of those experiences you have. Make sure to use them, and eventually they'll be helpful in those if you apply for a job. Great. Okay. I think we're up for another question. One question here is for students who land a job with you, what advice would you give to help them survive and thrive in their first year? And what shouldn't they do? Let's start with Kay this time.
Okay. Um, I think this is probably the simplest answer I can give. We're all learning and adapting, as we go. So definitely don't be afraid to fail. I've encountered a lot of people who don't want to push themselves, especially during their first year, because they're afraid of failure. Don't don't hold yourself back like that. Make sure that you are reaching for amazing work. You're always showcasing the best that you can do. It's always a good thing to show us what you can do and where you want to go with that, so that we can help pave that path for you. And we really value those kinds of goals and that focused drive people have in achieving them. And that's why in our company, for example, we have a lot of trainings and internship programs for higher positions to prepare these people for future roles, right? So that's something I want these applicants, these students to take into consideration. Don't hold yourself back just because you're afraid.
Yeah, that's thanks, Kay. Give your 101% if possible, or more than that. Thanks, Kay. How about you, Paolo? How would you what would you advise those that landed the job with Optum, how they survive and what they shouldn't do?
All right. So, if ever that you guys would be landing a job, not only within Optum, but actually this is applicable to every other industry there is. Okay. Number one is during your training, hold fast. Okay. Make sure that you would be absorbing everything that would be taught to you. Okay. And next is always be curious. Okay? Never ever settle for less when it comes to your curiosity. It's okay that you would be thirsty for knowledge. It's okay if you would be asking your leaders, even though they're busy. They're going to answer you, that's for sure. Okay. And maybe within the future, just like what Kay mentioned a while ago, we are looking for the next generation of supervisors. Maybe the simplest information that you would be receiving from your leaders or supervisors, you can use it once you become a supervisor yourself already. Okay. And one thing I wanted to add in connection with what Kay mentioned earlier, don't be afraid to fail. Yes, sharing my experience, yes, I've failed multiple times. I could not count anymore. um, yes, multiple times already, and I'm not afraid to do so. Okay, and my work actually it's applicable in life as well. We should take risk, even though a large percent of it would be meaning to fail. But that's okay because no one has ever done it aside from you. So you'll never know what the outcome would be. Okay, so don't be afraid to fail. It's fine if you fail. If you fail, just pause, think of your next steps, and then you'd be ready to go forward again.
Thanks, Paolo. I think those are, yeah, I agree. It's applicable to not only to a specific company, it applies to any situation as long as you're employed to any, let's say you're working for someone. Um, uh, I remember still the first days I had in BPO industry, I have this notebook. I really write down the things I've learned during the onboarding process. And especially if you are new to the industry that they are catering, it's really hard. So you need to write it down. And the second one is asking questions. I really like doing that. And I think even though I know my supervisor is like um, really nakukulitan na sa akin, something like that. I really insist because it's something I want to learn. Like you want that job to, you want to have a good and lasting impression in your job, in your career, and you also want to progress. So that's why you want to know things. And I agree with the failure as well. It's part of it. I think I remember the first calls I had. So funny what's happening. So yeah, I agree. So actually, I before I we jump with the next question, um, there's a question here in the chat box that's really related with that. Actually, before being hired, what are your advice on people who have anxiety during job interviews? Uh, Paulo, you want to go ahead?
All right, anxiety during interviews. I don't think that it's going to be. I mean, anxiety will always be present, even with me. If I if I apply to another job other than within my own company right now, I would be anxious when it comes to the interview. Um, I think one of the things that I can tell you about anxiety when it comes to interview is that you really need to practice beforehand. Okay, make sure that you research about the company that you're applying to. Some of their questions would be more on about the company. And of course, know your strengths. When you know your strengths, it's mostly what your interviewers would be looking for. Like, for example, the question, what can you contribute within the company? So, those will be your strengths. Make sure that you are familiar with your strengths as well as your weakness. Being within the talent acquisition team myself, I don't dwell on weaknesses anymore, most probably because I wanted to know if the candidates that I interview would be aware of their strengths. Okay, because your strengths are the one that you're going to use all throughout the interview. Okay, so this strength will be applied if ever that you would be hired within the job itself, and never ever talk about your weakness if ever that you're not being asked to. All right.
Mm, it's a good advice. Thanks, Paolo. Okay, do you have anything to add to what Paolo said about this question?
Uh, yeah, actually, I do actually like this question because, this is anxiety is definitely very common. I'm personally a very anxious person myself, so what I've always told applicants who say have panic attacks or tell me personally that they're anxious, I do tell them that everything is fine. They just need to breathe. They don't have to take themselves so seriously, because anxiety is it's partly, it's in your head, right? So what I tell these people when they're having a hard time because of their anxiety, I do tell them to just focus on the question, take it one question at a time so that they don't get overwhelmed. And definitely it is good, to prepare ahead, because part of the anxiety is being afraid of not knowing the answer. And it's perfectly fine if you don't know the answer, because that's where I get to see what you're capable of, what needs to work, right? But it would definitely be good that you're prepared, especially with questions about yourself. It helps you ground yourself, because definitely yourself the best, right? And you can focus on those things that you are, all of these strengths. And even if you have that weakness in with your anxiety, I like seeing people overcome that anxiety, because it shows me just how far they can push themselves and overcome that weakness. And it's always good to see that. I like seeing that in an interview with people who are afraid. I like seeing them succeed at the end of that interview.
Wow, thanks, Kay. That's really insightful. Uh, I think I'm imagining like someone really nervous answering your question, but then they are striving to answer that even though they're anxious. I think that's something, actually, there's something a plus points already. You're trying to answer even though you know you're anxious about the question. I, I'm learning a lot actually personally. Thank you for your answers, and just want to take the last few minutes that we have here to answer this last question. Any final words, or in one sentence, why should students apply with your organization? If it's not possible to limit in one sentence, it's okay. So maybe we start with, okay, you want to go ahead?
Okay. This might be a run-on sentence grammatically, but it'll
Yeah.
be one. So I guess this is what I can leave people with. If you're looking for a community that acknowledges and nurtures you holistically, your skills, your goals, and your identity, then look no further. That's TeleTech.
Very short and simple. Thanks, Kay.
One sentence.
Yeah. Thanks. Paolo, what's your one sentence?
All right. So here's an opportunity to use your skills that can elevate your career. If you're looking for that kind of job, then join us and help improve lives of people while you do your life's best work.
Wow. Thanks, Paolo. Thanks, Kay. I hope our attendees have learned a lot with, especially those who are interested to venture the BPO industry. Uh, from my personal experience, it's a big world. So there's a lot of opportunities there.